We going? We're on a roll.
We're live.
We're live.
Are we live?
We're live on the Clips channel. So I saw something interesting this morning, which I think you might be able to maybe enlighten me more on.
Oh yeah.
I saw a article about this really weird couple who have been laundering like
the Bitfinex.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was also very intrigued by her music. I'm a big fan.
This is such a crazy story, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously they've been laundering. Is it laundering Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall I give you the background?
Yeah, because I got distracted by the music video, so I read so far and then.
Okay. Well, yeah. So this is the Bitfinex hack. So back in 2016, the exchange Bitfinex, which is fun fact, the one that's kind of closely associated with Tether, with USDT. So it's a bit. So it was hacked, and it had around 120,000 Bitcoins stolen. Okay. Which I think at the time that was worth somewhere in the region of $71 million or something like that, back in 2016. Okay. Now obviously fast forward to now, and that's worth about $4.5 billion, which is pretty crazy.
Okay.
So what's happened is basically these Bitcoins were stolen, and they've been trying to trace them ever since. And it turns out that the US Department of Justice has been working with a blockchain tracking company, one of these blockchain analytics companies, to try and figure out where all this Bitcoin have gone.
Have they been trying this since 2016?
It's not entirely clear, but it seems, basically. Okay. So because Bitcoin and other cryptos can be tracked on chain, actually laundering them, making it so as they can't be traced. Is very, very difficult, and it seems that this couple that they've arrested, what they've accused them of is basically trying to launder the stolen bitcoins, and they've been doing it through a really complicated set of ways. Basically trying to do as many transactions as possible, move it between different. I think they've been moving it between sort of darknet sites as well. Basically doing whatever they can to try and throw the authorities off their tail. Okay. But it seems that they haven't succeeded.
It's all come crashing to an end.
It has all come crashing down. So this couple that have been arrested, they've been charged. They haven't been charged with actually carrying out the hack itself, as far as I can see. So we don't know if they're behind the hack, but they have been charged with trying to launder the funds. Okay. And the Department of Justice apparently seized $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin when they arrested them. Right. So it turns out that this couple are, what's his name, Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan. And they're a pair. They're an item. They're married.
Razzle Khan. What was she called?
Razzle Khan.
Razzle Khan.
So this is where this is already a kind of a pretty amazing story, given the amounts of money that's involved, and given the fact that this hack has been, they've been looking for these stolen funds for six odd years now. Yeah. Basically these two are just very, very strange. He, I think, describes himself as a kind of angel investor, advisor to sort of various tech companies, and seems to have he's kind of all across social media. He seems to be sort of quite a sort of typical
influencer.
Influencer. Yeah. I mean, we all know how awful those people are. But she's the really interesting one, isn't she? So she turns out she's a sort of entrepreneur / rapper,
and she calls herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. Classic.
I mean, why we're just jealous because we didn't think up that name.
I know.
Yeah, so she goes by the rapper name Razzle Khan.
Yeah, Razzle Khan.
And I mean, look, I'm the first to admit that I am not a rapper. But
please don't ever.
She's not that great, is she?
I mean, questionable.
Questionable
choice. If you like her music.
And what's the track that you've been listening to?
Getting High in the Graveyard.
Getting High in the Graveyard.
It's quite catchy though, I'm not going to lie. Okay. In the worst way possible.
So there's a brilliant Daily Beast article. There's tons about this on the internet at the moment. So if you're interested, do go and look it up. If you just type in Bitfinex hack 2016, it'll come up with all the latest on this, and all the news outlets are covering it. But we'll leave a link in the description to a great article. It was the Daily Beast, I think it was, and that has links to at least one of her rap videos. This one, Getting High in the Graveyard or whatever it is. And also, I think some footage from their wedding when she's been carried on a sort of Moroccan-style sedan chair or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It looks pretty weird.
Yeah, and just some fun facts about them, which they are very odd.
Very odd.
Yeah, very odd. But it's an interesting story. I'm sure there'll be more stuff to come out about this.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, I don't know, it's the basis for a good film.
Yeah, I think so.
A money heist film, like maybe Ocean's Ocean's 2022.
Yeah, Ocean's 15 or whatever one they're up to.
Yeah.
It is a fascinating story. It's got some amazing sort of characters already, and I think as you say, like because they're not being charged with the hack itself, this suggests that there are other entities out there. I mean, reading about them, it didn't seem to me that they were the sort of people who had the necessary abilities to carry out the hack. I think the hack, the actual hack back in 2016, you'd need to be quite sophisticated for that, and they didn't strike me as being all that sophisticated. I mean, they left the private keys to all this crypto that they were trying to launder. Apparently, that was left on like on the cloud or something like that. It's pretty.
Just for anyone to.
Yeah, so they haven't done that great a job of covering their tracks. But it does suggest that there are other entities involved. So it'll be fascinating to see if they come out of the woodwork, if they're able to be traced.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a big question around the fact that there's $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin suddenly newly available, if you like. So obviously the US authorities will have seized these. Now it's not entirely clear what happens. I mean, I guess that really belongs to Bitfinex. So that could be sent back, in which case is that going to go on the open market?
Yeah,
it could be that some larger entity, some whales, or someone with a lot of resources will try and buy that in an over-the-counter trade at presumably a discount. But there is a good chance it will go on the open market, and that would be fascinating to see what effect that had on the price. So there's lots of unanswered questions.
And lots to come out, I think.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. I wonder who did it. They definitely didn't do it.
No, they don't strike me. They don't strike me as the types to do it.
And usually,
but how they got mixed up in this is that's a question I'd love to see answered.
Maybe it's like some big time rapper who she knows.
Do you think she's doing this for someone higher up in the rap game?
Yeah, who's been helping her like push her music out.
That would be a story.
Yeah.
That really would be a story. I guess so. Yeah, I guess the point to sort of finish on is that a lot of people's perception of crypto is that it's something that criminals use, and it's just purely so shady like that. And in actual fact, this just goes to show that crypto is not all that criminal friendly, because the ability to track it on chain exists, and there are more and more companies that are able to do this. I did make a YouTube video about them over on our main channel about these blockchain tracking companies. So the idea that criminals have sort of found a safe haven for money laundering and for hacking and extortion and all these other things by using crypto is just not right. I mean, looks like they're being brought to justice, at least some of them.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we'll leave some links below if you want to read more about this, but do keep an eye on this story because, as Macey says, I don't think we've heard the last of this one.
No, definitely not.